Hello, and thank you for tuning into the CyberX Career Expo. Happy Friday. I'm Arlene Worsley with York University, and I'm super excited to walk you through rewarding career possibilities in cybersecurity today. So, if you're wondering which cybersecurity role is right for me, you're not alone. This is a common question I receive as a cybersecurity assistant instructor, and and that is the focus of the mentorship session today. I will be sharing some helpful strategies and tools for you to explore your career possibilities and from either a technical or non technical role and see where cybersecurity will take you. All right. So, in this session, I will kick it off with a short story about my own cybersecurity career journey. I will provide you a few good stats, and I know that you've received so many so far already, so I'll keep that brief. And then we'll get into the nuts and bolts of today's mentorship session, where we talk about which cybersecurity role is right for you and how you can learn that through some strategies and frameworks and some really great interactive tools. And then another common question we'll explore is how do I start or transition into a cybersecurity career role? From this point, I will provide a couple of suggested pathways for those with work experience, as well as for those with no work experience. And I will also provide you some sample career journeys from a technical and non technical role. And then near the end, we'll walk through what are some common mistakes to avoid. I think this is really important, especially as you transition into the cybersecurity field. And please, I do encourage that you ask questions throughout, and I'll try my best to respond accordingly. We're not going to leave questions to the end. I would love to engage with you throughout. All right. So a little bit about me. In my opinion, every good presentation starts with a very interesting story. So mine is a little bit interesting, and maybe many of you can relate. I didn't follow the normal path into cybersecurity. I began my career in communications, and that organically developed into digital communications. And eventually, I specialized in IT web operations in the energy sector for about 10 years. And my key responsibilities there were project management, risk management, and incident response lead. And of course, having worked in incident command centers with cybersecurity team members, I started to realize there is something bigger and better out there. So I decided in 2018 to take a leap of faith and pursue a mid career transition into cybersecurity. And during this time, so between 2018 to now, I was able to achieve two postgraduate cybersecurity certificates from York University. I obtained a security position at a consulting firm. I was proactively selected as a National Cybersecurity Assistant Instructor at York University. I attained the Certified Information Security Manager CISM certificate certification, and I also received a 2020 Global Women in Tech Hall of Fame award, and recently elected as a board member of a security organization in Alberta. So today I am, and I'm very proud of my achievements in such a short period of time. Today I'm an award-winning cyber risk, crisis, and resilience expert, national cybersecurity assistant instructor, mentor, and published author. I am also now a brave voice for women in cyber, captivating audiences about challenges women and women of color experience in male-dominated fields like cybersecurity. So you might see me around if you connect with me on LinkedIn. As you can see at the bottom right of the screen is my LinkedIn profile. So please do connect. I am looking forward to learning more about you. And then beyond cybersecurity, I'm a single mom of two kids. I have overcome adversity, built resilience, and found joy. And In addition to fashion and my love for lipstick, as you can tell, um, and you'll see in my presentation, my top actually matches the color of my presentation, so that was intentional. I'm also an all-season hiker and explorer of the Rocky Mountains. All right, so a few good 2020 stats. Again, we'll make this short and quick because I know most of you have already heard a lot of this throughout the last 2 days with CyberX Career Expo. But essentially, cybersecurity professionals are absolutely in demand. In Canada alone, the profession is growing by 7% every year. And so there is an absolute need to fill those roles. And there, uh, according to the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity, we're expecting 3.5 million of projected vacant positions worldwide by this year. And of course, what's really great is that it's a well-paid industry. The annual salary for cybersecurity professionals in 2020 is 97,000. So what does this mean to you? It means in today's social economic environment, diversity is a hiring and promotion priority for organizations. This includes gender equality, race equity for cybersecurity roles and leadership roles. Diversity provides access to a greater range of talent, and it helps provide greater insight into client needs, opens doors to new markets, and of course, helps companies make more profit and become more resilient. As and therefore, cybersecurity is for everyone. As you can see, I come from a non-technical background, so I'm one of those examples out there where it is for everyone, and whether you have a technical background or a non-technical background, cybersecurity needs you. And so there is a question um, in the chat. It's The question is, what are some new roles in cyber I've seen surge in demand throughout the pandemic? Really great question. What I've seen, and it's actually um, through the pandemic, but also has been growing over the last few years and has been part of some organizations' priorities for growth into cybersecurity into the future, is of course cloud security, experts in cloud security, and as well as resilience, crisis and resilience expertise that's needed to support organizations based on any future disasters that may be experienced. All right, so now for the much anticipated question: which cybersecurity role is right for me? So I'm going to pause here and tell you a quick story. Um, when I was a student at York University, there were moments where I doubted my decision to make the mid career transition. For someone with a non technical role, the material was challenging, and thoughts that rattled me during that time was, I'm mid career, I'm older, I have children to support on my own. What was I thinking? And perhaps some of you understand this doubt. And so, as part of the scary transition, I needed to help anchor my fears by understanding which cybersecurity role is right for me based on my experience that I have and how I can leverage that into a successful future. And so now I'll share some strategies and a framework, as well as demonstrate some really great tools to help you answer this question. All right. So, the relevant framework to set the stage is the NIST-NICE Cybersecurity Workforce Framework. It is published by NIST, which is the National Institute of Standards and Technology. NIST is well known in the field for establishing cybersecurity standards, as and some examples include the NIST Cybersecurity Framework, or NIST CSF, which is used for maturity assessments, and so much more. The NIST-NICE framework is a framework, is a workforce tool that indicates all functions for cybersecurity roles within organizations. It includes, as you see here on the screen, 7 categories, which are high-level groupings of common cybersecurity functions. And shortly you will see there's also specialty areas, roughly about 33, and these are distinct areas of cybersecurity work. And then within the tool is also 52 work roles. And these are groupings of cybersecurity work comprised of knowledge, skills, and abilities required to perform tasks in a work role. This framework has become the cyber work role lexicon and structure for companies, job seekers, recruiters, agencies, and certification organizations. So let's take near the bottom, protect and defend. It states identifies, analyzes, and mitigates threats to internal IT systems and or networks. So we'll provide a couple of examples in the next couple slides, and then I will show you what this looks like online. So taking this category, protect and defend, it breaks it down further into specialty areas such as cyber defense analysis, cyber defense infrastructure support, incident response, vulnerability assessment, and management. These categories and specialty areas further build out cyber work roles, terminology, and lexicon. And then, of course, the framework and online tool drills down even further. And this is where I would say the gem of the information is really located. There's a lot of information here, and you will get excited. I know I got excited because I'm like, wow, okay, there's so much information. I'm now starting to feel a lot better about my decision into going into cybersecurity because some of this knowledge, skills, abilities, tasks, I have some of these skills and I can transfer it into cybersecurity. So that made me really excited. And so now what I'm going to do is I am going to share what this looks like online. So hopefully you can see that. And I apologize, I am toggling a few monitors. So if I'm looking in different directions, that's me toggling. So here is the workforce framework for cybersecurity. And at the end of my presentation and afterward, I am able to provide some direct links, but feel free to take screenshots so you have the link directly. So this is really great. That tool that I was talking about is now here on the website. And as you can see, the 7 categories that it's divided into, you can break down and go into select specialty areas as you would like to explore. Or for the purpose of this specific session, I wanted to kind of drill down very quickly into a particular work role. So I'm choosing the first one, Cybercrime Investigator, and just click Apply. And here you'll see the category investigate specialty area is cyber investigation, abilities, knowledge. So again, the KSATs, skills, and tasks. Really, really useful. Very, very full of relevant information to help you understand the work role. And it goes into capability indicators for entry level, intermediate, and advanced. So very, very helpful matrix that they offer here as well. So that is the NIST NICE framework. Really high level. I hope you'll be able to explore that. And then looks like we have a question. Has the pandemic reinforced gender roles in the workplace? For example, most women having to stay home for children due to children not being at school. This is a great question because, as you know, I have 2 children, and the really nice thing about cybersecurity is you can work from anywhere. And I think employers as well as clients gained a lot of understanding as to how flexible cybersecurity can truly be. And so, for example, there was a common thinking that maybe clients who are located in Ottawa, such as the government agencies, can only really have talent who are local or fairly close. That way they can fly in and fly out or just drive in. However, the pandemic has really showed us that you can be from anywhere. So I was also I joined a government agency project here from Calgary, Alberta. And so it's been really great. There was no, suddenly it became borderless, which is great and an excellent opportunity for us to grow. And more so, this also helped those who have children at home. It was challenging. I found it quite challenging to have the work life convergence happen at the same time. So during my workday, I'm used to really focusing on just my work, and then I commute home and then decompress and be able to shift gears and be a mom and family member to my kids. But during the pandemic, I had that challenge, and I had to really learn how to switch gears faster, because every once in a while you'll be in a meeting, you'll take a break just to see how the kids are doing, and then they're asking you a ton of questions related to school um, or anything that they need, food, whatever. And then you'd have to switch gears again very quickly and be able to jump back into a work meeting. So that's been very challenging. But I have adapted over the past year. And now my children also understand the importance of not necessarily interrupting now that they're back at school. It's been great. But again, I am working from home, and, that work life convergence continues. It's a really great question. Thank you. All right. So next is a very fun interactive tool. You are going to love it. You're going to click around and you're just going to have so much fun. So essentially, NIST partnered with CyberSeek, CompTIA, Burning Glass Technologies to create an interactive tool for employers, recruiters, and job seekers like us. This tool includes two interactive elements. One is an interactive map. It is focused on the United States, but you can only imagine what this could be for Canada if it was ever developed for us. And essentially, the interactive map shows the supply and demand of jobs, cybersecurity jobs in the US. I'll walk you through that shortly. And the other interactive element is a career pathway. It's so, so cool to see it. You only see lines here, but then once you're online, it just shows everything as you move, and even more information that's valuable. The great news too is that it's funded by the government, of course, and so it's free. So let me walk you through that. Okay, so this is cyberseek.org. Right on the homepage, you'll see the two interactive elements. We'll explore the heat map first. All right, again, a focus on the United States. This would be amazing to have in Canada, so I almost want to like send a note and be like, hey, we need one for Canada too. So if when you hover over each state, it shows you the total job openings per state. And this data is, it's not necessarily in real time, but it is populated over a period of time. And you'll be able to kind of leverage the estimates of what's happening with that data. And then over here, if you're not hovering, you can kind of see the top job, the legend. So blue having a lot, and the light gray having the least amount. And some of these really great stats. So again, national level, they are showing how many job cybersecurity openings in total. And then total cybersecurity workforce in the country. And you can also just click on some of these icons just to get a little bit more information as to the representation and the definitions. here is the supply of cybersecurity workers. And what this means, and it was really interesting for me to learn this a little bit more, is national average for like a field workforce is 5, whereas cybersecurity is at 1.8. What this says is essentially there is not enough um, resources to fill the roles that are required um, in the current environment around the US. And this is the national standard. So, and of course, you can drill down a little bit closer if you go into Texas. And on the right here, which is really helpful for when you are doing keyword searches for positions, these are the top national cybersecurity job titles nationally in the US. And so some include the security engineer, systems engineer, cybersecurity specialists, pen testers. And here, some of these categories might look familiar because they are from the NIST framework. Securely provision, oversee and govern, operate and maintain, etc. And you can drill a little bit more just to kind of see, the number of jobs in these specialty areas. And of course, these are some of the top certifications that are being pursued in the United States. So CompTIA, GIAC, which is an elite certification program, and I'll talk to you more about that shortly, and also CISM as examples. So I'm not going to drill down into a state. Definitely feel free to drill down. What I would like to do is now show you the career path interactive tool, which I had so much fun with. And it got me even more excited about the potential of where I could go. So having understand now that I looked into that NIST framework initially, I was like, all right, maybe the first role that I would get into once I fully transition into cybersecurity is a cybersecurity consultant. And so you can see here the lines are starting to develop themselves. And what's really great is it shows the entry-level positions that lead into cybersecurity consultant roles, as well as the lateral positions that lead into cybersecurity roles, and then your growth positions, so advancing into potentially a manager, engineer, or architect, depending on your desired work stream, which is technical or non-technical. So that was really great. And of course, as you can see here, when I hover, there is the number of job openings nationally, as well as the average salary. And again, this is all in the US and US dollars, but really great information just as baseline. And then when you click on it, more information pops up, which is so fantastic. And so again, you can start looking at some of the common job titles, which will help with your keyword search for when you're looking for jobs, the average salary, number of openings, and then if you want to drill down a little bit more into the NIST framework for generalist roles, for example, non-technical background, oversee and govern is really helpful. And you can see here, there's IT project manager, there is cyber instructor, security manager, program manager. So some really high-level roles and non-technical roles, which are fantastic. And so when you click on project manager, it gives you even more information pulled from the NIST framework, your KSATs, as well. So the knowledge, skills, abilities, and your tasks. Really, really helpful tool. And I apologize, I'm scrolling really fast. But again, you can just explore a little bit more. And if you want to get into more of a technical role, protect and defend, operate and maintain, those are more technical roles as well. And same information populates for you, which is wonderful. And for top skills requested here, so going back to that mid area after you click from up here in the interactive titles, or what they call the feeder roles, based on the CyberSeek pathway. The top skills requested, and these are requested from job boards. So they collect data from many areas, including job boards. And so for for security consultants, information security, surveillance, project management, Python, or you will see a little bit more information as you drill down. So that is cyberseek.org. Hopefully that's really helpful for you. Please do take notes. Again, this tool, you will have a lot of fun with it, and do share with your peers and anyone who might be seeking this kind of information. So going back to our presentation, one moment. Oh, I do see some questions. Yes, yes. You read my mind. Technation. That is actually next. I'm so glad you brought that up. There is a Canadian slightly modified version, and it's not as interactive, but it's easy to navigate. So thank you for sharing that. It's so amazing that we're all on the same page, especially on a Friday. I'm looking forward to my happy Friday hour. So yes, the next iteration that I wanted to share with you as a tool to keep in your back pocket, especially for those in Canada, but more so for those looking for technical versus non-technical roles, if you want to kind of divide your research into those categories, is the Technation Canadian Cybersecurity Skills Framework. And again, they leverage the NIST workforce framework, but they divide it into technical versus non-technical roles. That is a little bit more easier to follow. So I will demonstrate that for you. Okay. So here we are, Canadian Cybersecurity Skills Framework, giving some really great high-level information about the Canadian labor market and the needs. As you can see, a screenshot from my slide that I pulled directly from here, really helpful, business-oriented, again, following the NIST framework categories. And then when you scroll down, you will see non-technical roles, small, medium organizational context, oversee, govern, which is more high level, and not requiring too much technical experience, and then more technical experience. So let's explore generalists as an example, and then we'll also explore a technical one. So cybersecurity generalists, again, it includes some of the KSATs, the knowledge, skills, and tasks, which is helpful, and then common competencies, which is also really great. So that's generalist work roles, high level from the Canadian Cybersecurity Framework, from Technation. And then we'll go into protect and defend, which is more technical roles, such as information system security manager, tier 1 analyst to tier 3. So let's look at ThreadHunter. It gives you the PDFs for additional information, and again, following the NIST framework. So lots of really helpful information there. Okay, so let's carry on. Again, really wonderful tools. Hopefully you captured some information. If you're not already exploring, which I'm pretty sure you're clicking around already, I am happy to know that because I know I did. Perfect. So, all right. Now, another common question I receive, as I mentioned earlier, is how do I start or transition into a cybersecurity role? In the next few slides, I'll walk you through high-level pathways for those with no work experience, as well as for those with work experience. And I'll also share some sample career journeys for technical and non-technical roles. So the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity suggests this high-level pathway for those with no work experience. To start a successful cybersecurity career, obtaining education and gaining work experience is key. So some examples include getting a certification and as well as obtaining a college diploma or graduate certificate and or obtaining a bachelor's or graduate degree. I added the fourth column here, getting an internship, because that's very, very important to kind of help gain some work experience that's relevant to cybersecurity. But if we go back to the left at the getting a certification, the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity suggests some entry-level positions if you have just a certification. And they also suggest entry-level positions if you have college or graduate, a college diploma or graduate certificate, as well as entry-level positions for bachelor's or bachelor's degree. And so in that third column, entry-level positions with a bachelor's or graduate degree can include IT security specialist, security tester, and vulnerability analyst. So some really great examples. Again, these are just examples, and they can be applicable depending on some of those job postings that you see out there. Your institution's career center is also really helpful, and that's where the internships really come in. So you want to inquire with your institution's career center about cybersecurity internships or new grad programs, because they do partner with a lot of organizations who are looking for talent like you. And but I do highly, highly recommend that you prepare early, because placement in these programs are highly competitive. So start early, have an idea of kind of the different opportunities that may be available to you. Your career center through your institutions are so wonderful. And the Canadian Centre for Cybersecurity also provides an entire list through this source, an entire list of universities that offer cybersecurity programs. And so they'll be available as a resource. And then a high level career pathway for those with work experience. And again, this is before a sample journey. So stay tuned. We will expand on this, which I had a lot of fun with. So for those with work experience, you'll see a common thread between those with no work experience and those with work experience. Education is key, especially starting in a career in cybersecurity. So highly recommend, and again, this is my opinion, but I do highly recommend obtaining a college diploma or graduate certificate in cybersecurity. And then from there, this doesn't have to be followed in sequence, but there is a suggestion that for your progression, you eventually obtain a certification, whether that's the IC squared CISP or ISACA CISM, which I'll walk through in those sample journey examples. And also, I added networking and volunteering, as well as the fourth column here, job search and landing a job. And the reason I added these is because when you are transitioning, kind of, I'm speaking from experience. When you're transitioning mid-career, you are basically starting your network from scratch, and your network is so important to help you meet the right people and eventually get your foot in the door for cybersecurity positions. Because as you know, sometimes it's a lot easier to transition and make that jump based on people you know. And so I highly recommend building one as a mid-career transition individual to build your network internally at your organization and network internally. Or if you are wanting to be more of an external hire, you definitely want to expand beyond your organization and start networking with your local cybersecurity community. So that could be your local ISC squared chapter, your local ISACA chapter, etc. And of course, CyberX. So CyberX is a great community. I've met so many great people through all these organizations, and I continue to develop that networking. And you will be surprised. I'm an introvert. I am a natural introvert. So essentially, I turn everything on when I'm working, and then when I'm not working, I need to decompress and recharge. And And so it's been transitioning into cybersecurity was challenging because I needed to get out of my comfort zone and really get out there. And it takes a lot of courage to do that. So if you're not there yet, or you are there, congratulations, because networking and volunteering can be, just another big step, a little bit extra work just from your own internal courage, but do it, get yourself out there, let people get to know you, volunteer, and you will be surprised at how quickly your career progresses from there. And then, of course, when you're job searching and then landing a job, so you, as a mid-career transitioner, I'm not sure if that's a word, but that's okay. We'll make it a word for Friday. So you can move laterally within your organization into a cybersecurity role, or you can apply as an experienced hire. But I want to, it's important to manage your expectations that even though you're mid-career, you may be in management, and you may be leading teams, etc. If that is kind of your role right now, if you're transitioning into cybersecurity, you have to take a little bit of a step back, and be able to gain some of that cybersecurity specific experience. And for the most part, a lot of people who transition mid-career, it makes a lot of sense to start at a consultant level role. But the really great news is, even though you're starting at consultant level role, your career trajectory is faster once you're inside because of your work experience. So make sure that when you're interviewing, that you state how important it is for the organization to recognize your previous work experience as part of your growth and development at the organization. So I'm just going to quickly do a quick time check, which we're doing good. I might go through this a couple more, a little bit faster. But essentially, as you can see, I had a little bit of fun. I'm providing you two sample career journeys. One is a technical role with Jane, and the next is a non-technical role with Bob. So, on this slide, excuse me, I am walking you through Jane's career journey. And again, this is just a suggestion. I highly encourage you to do your research, determine what your work experience is so far, your education, and see how you can leverage that using the tools that I provide you today, with the NIST framework, the CyberSeek interactive maps and interactive career path, as well as the Technation cybersecurity framework. Once you explore in there, you'll kind of have a better idea. And I really encourage you to create your career journey by your design. We can give you some initial pointers as to where to start, but after that, it's all you, right? And it's all about your success. So let's start with technical role with Jane. So Jane, of course, had an excellent focus in STEM education in high school. So STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And so she had a good experience there, and she knew, coming from high school, she wanted to obtain a Bachelor of Computer Engineering degree. So she did that. And then Jane was really smart. She got ahead of the line, and she inquired through her career center about internship opportunities. And she applied for as many as possible, got as many interviews as possible, and landed an internship. And she knew that she wanted to become CISP certified, because it's really important to have a CISP certification in cybersecurity, especially for a technical role. So of course, she passed it with flying colors, and Jane then became an associate of IC Squared. So I want to emphasize here that usually we want to hear that Jane would have become a certified CISP from IC Squared. However, because Jane didn't have all the years of experience that's required to become a certified CISP, IC Squared awards those who pass the CISP exam and the endorsement letters as an associate of IC Squared. So essentially, what that means is Jane is now eager to become a certified CISP, gain the work experience, and so she decided to volunteer with a local cybersecurity organization. She started an entry-level role in as a network administrator. And this is a required, the next item here is maintain CPE. So CPEs are continuing professional education credits. And this is a requirement for most certification organizations, and you have to maintain it year after year. It's roughly about 40 hours a year for 3 years. And if you maintain it, you don't have to take the exam, but it's also just making sure that you're continually educating yourself within the cybersecurity field. And that's really important. Next, of course, within the network administrator role, Jane started to gain a lot of work experience, lots of challenges, and really growing. And then eventually she was able to meet the requirement of becoming CISP certified. And then once she had CISP certification, she knew she could obtain so much more. And here I identify becoming vendor certified. So there are a lot of vendor certifications, and some examples come from Microsoft, Amazon, IBM. And vendor certifications can include um, Azure and AWS, and a few other certifications. Let me just quickly check, such as VMware, ITIL, so many more. And then, of course, you'll see that I've kind of plugged in maintaining CPEs throughout her journey, which is a requirement. Eventually, she's promoted to an IT manager. She becomes an AWS Solutions Architect Associate. So she's really, really starting to develop, not starting, but continuing to progress and develop in her technical capabilities. And because of that, she becomes recognized by her organization, and she's promoted to security architect. And then she becomes an advisory board member for her organization of choice, whether that's through IC Squared, ISACA, etc. She's then promoted over a period of time to become the enterprise security architect, again, continuing to maintain her CPEs and learning and growing as a cybersecurity professional, maybe becoming a technical instructor, and then eventually becoming a chief security architect. So I designed Jane's technical journey here. Yours will definitely be different and unique. I encourage you to draw and kind of create a career journey that works well for you. And of course, things will change, but you can adapt that. And even if it's not a visual version, you can just write it all down. It's good to revisit it at least once a year and make sure that it's aligning also within with your growth and development goals within your organization. So now I'll quickly share, and because I've walked you through Jane, I'll quickly share Bob, because Bob comes from a non-technical background. And so Bob obtained his Bachelor of Arts Communications degree. He dedicated 10 years at a PR agency, and working within with some clients who specialized in cybersecurity. He became really interested in the field, and so he decided, you know what, I there's more to my career, and I'm going to make this change, kind of like I did. And essentially, he decided to pursue education and obtain a postgraduate certificate. He passed his CISP exam immediately after, as well as volunteered with a local organization. So he's working quickly through that networking and volunteering. He became CISP certified because he met the qualifications based on his past work experience, his education, all of that good stuff. And then he transferred his experience into a cyber consultant role. And from there, his career trajectory just it came so fast, and he was successful very quickly. Of course, maintaining CPEs, gaining the right cybersecurity specific experience, becoming cloud certified, getting promoted to security manager, becoming ISACA either CSAM certified or PGMP certified. So PGMP is provided by the PMI Institute, and it's a program management professional certification. And it's really great for those who want to pursue more of that leadership, growth in security management. So these again are all suggestions, but Bob decided I want to have a CSP. I want to be cloud certified. I want to have ISACA, CSAM, and PGMP. And please don't get me wrong, you don't have to have too many certifications. That's not great either. You have to make it very specific to your ultimate goal. And to Bob, he wanted to eventually become a CISO. That's where he saw himself. And so he's like, all right, what does that look like? Let's work backwards. And so eventually he was promoted to director, became an instructor. He pursued the GIAC management certifications. And so there's usually about levels 1 to 3 with GIAC certifications. And there are management levels and there are technical. It is one of the most elite certifications you can achieve, and definitely recommend trying to pursue that with more cybersecurity work experience, because they do want to validate your knowledge and your skills. Eventually, Bob was also excited to publish a book, obtain awards, become a speaker, obtain the CCCISO certification, and company recognized him for all his hard work, all his achievements, and he was promoted to CISO. So this is just some fun samples. And again, I really encourage that you create your own journey by design. And so really quickly, because I do want to answer some of your questions and have more time for that, is what are some common mistakes that you should avoid? Very, very important to quickly talk about, because it's really interesting when you think about all the things you need to do, but you also want to be mindful of all the things you should avoid. That way it's a much smoother experience for you. So on the left side, we cover the do nots when you transition into or start a career in cybersecurity, as well as the do's. So you do not want to rush the process. I really, really encourage not rushing this. And I know there's a lot of frustration for some people that they just want to transition and have a career in cybersecurity within 1 year. But you want to give it the right amount of time, because these cybersecurity roles are very competitive. They do require the right education, training, certification, and work experience, so you can have a fruitful career. So please don't rush it. Take the time, talk to some people. I'm here to help as well, so please do connect, and we can kind of give you an idea as to how long it'll really take, depending also on, you have a personal life, there's family, there's things outside of the pandemic, right? Hopefully soon. And then of course, another don't is do not ask for a job during networking opportunities. If there's one thing I hear a lot about, is those who are cybersecurity professionals, when they go to these networking opportunities, they say it is so rude when someone just comes up to them and says, hey, I'm Bob, can you give me a job? Without taking the time to build a relationship, get to know their name, and all that good stuff. So please don't make this mistake. It seems to be very tempting, but don't. You want to leave a good impression, and eventually those relationships will turn into more. So you need to trust that process. Um, and the third one here, it's very obvious, but for some, it's I've seen this mistake happen over and over again, because um, when people ask for, resume reviews, etc., like, and also interview prep, you see kind of this information come out. So don't falsely state information on your resume or in your interview. And that's because hiring managers quickly pinpoint those false statements. And above all, background checks confirm the truth. I know that we want to, especially for those transitioning into cybersecurity or starting, we want to seem hireable. And to be hireable is your honesty and to be genuine about your background and to be proud about your background, because hiring managers will be more receptive to that than realizing that you were falsely stating some information. And then, of course, for the do's, these are really, really great. In addition to all the do's that I've talked about today. So do start on the right foot and keep your eye on the prize. Be patient. I can't emphasize this enough. It's hard to. I too was a little bit impatient, but I also knew that before I made the leap into cybersecurity, I actually planned about 2 years in advance of, by this in 2 years, if I'm not at a certain point in my career, I'm going to make a transition. And that transition, I also financially planned it. That way, if I wanted to um, leave my current job and really just focus on education, etc., I had that option. So I wanted to prepare. And so, and once I was in it, I also needed to develop that patience of, okay, I am starting from, not necessarily from scratch, but I am new to the cyber field. So what does that really mean? So I needed to, land softly as to what I'm expecting and manage those expectations. But it's been absolutely worth it. Absolutely. And I am so happy with my decision to transition. Um, Another really great advice is to apply for applicable jobs, even if you're only 60% qualified. So, a study by Harvard University discovered that men uh, generally apply for a position or ask for a promotion, even if they're 60% qualified, whereas women are a little bit more fearful, or we're more skeptical of our skills, and we don't apply until we're almost 90 or 100% qualified. And regardless of your gender, I highly encourage that even if you're 60% qualified, again, it has to be the right positions, so entry level, mid level. Make sure that you apply and just give it a try. And if you get a phone call, amazing. Go to that interview, practice. If you get a job offer, even better. So this opportunity gives you an opportunity to practice. So get out there, get uncomfortable, and just apply. Break that barrier. I really encourage it. Um, and then do maintain professional conduct throughout your journey. I have bolded, you have one reputation protected. So this is really important because sometimes people don't realize that all it takes is a screenshot in what you think is a private conversation with classmates. Next thing you know, that could be disclosed in so many different facets, and then your reputation goes with it. Or you had a bad interview, you lied during your interview. Granted, those interviews are private and confidential. However, um, the cybersecurity community is small, and eventually, people, your reputation follows you. So you want to just maintain professional conduct in all facets of your interactions in the cybersecurity community. And lastly, and most importantly, do step out of your comfort zone. I know you've heard me say this a lot, and believe in yourself. I had to really find it deep in myself to do that. And in the next slide and final slide, I will share with you the one thing that motivated me throughout my entire process. So remember, cybersecurity needs you. So this quote by Marianne Wright Edelman kept me going. You can't be what you can't see. And so I had to believe in myself that I can see myself in a cybersecurity role, that I can grow in leadership positions in cybersecurity role. And right now, this quote is still the quote that keeps me going, because eventually I would like to be a security executive. And all of these dreams I am moving forward with because of this quote. And I do see what I can be. And so I want you to remember that, keep that top of mind, write it on a post-it, put it on your mirror in your washroom, and just keep going, because cybersecurity needs you. So that's it. I would love to hear any more of your questions. Oh, here we go. All right. So one question is, I am hoping to pivot to a cybersecurity role within my current company. How can I encourage my company to invest more heavily into cybersecurity? This is a common question we definitely receive, especially as an instructor. There are a lot of mid-career people who are wanting to support their organization, whether it's small, medium, large organizations. Um, and you're absolutely right. Not every organization can uh, understand the value of investing into cybersecurity, because it is an investment. And the most important thing that we consistently share through the program about um, key messaging when it comes to cybersecurity is communicating to the audience. So the audience, depending on who you're talking to, if you're speaking to decision makers who have a handle on the purse strings and the budget, you want to speak to them in the language that they understand. So one, what is the risk of a cybersecurity breach to the organization, and kind of do the research related to that, make it very specific to the organization, very specific to the industry, try to obtain some benchmarks as to how the industry compares. um, Give the example of, okay, so XYZ was breached, we're similar to XYZ. And so we don't want to have that happen to us. The risk to us is you have to identify the potential, the business impact, which is usually in a monetary value. And you also want to talk about the reputation impact. So this is really, really important because people oversee um, what could happen when or a security breach does take place, because they don't realize that one, it's the company's name that makes headlines. Next, it's also your stakeholders and your customers who are potentially impacted because of those headlines, as well as some partnerships. And eventually, what does that mean in sustaining your business long term? And once you have a breach, you could potentially be facing litigation. And so, what does that look like from a cost at that point? And then eventually, the cost of restoring your systems to make sure that they are cyber safe. So, there is a lot of ways to tell that story, but in a way that is urgent, in a way that matters to them. And speaking on the financial and risk perspective is really effective. Are there any other questions? I know we only have a few more minutes. All right. Well, thank you so much. I know that it's well into dinner Eastern time, and well into happy hour Eastern Western Canada time. So I'm really thankful for your time. Thank you again for tuning in to CyberX Career Expo. Please do find me on LinkedIn, Arlene Worsley, and I look forward to seeing more of you and learning more about your journeys.